The Hat Trick Hockey Podcast is brought to you in part by Howie's Hockey Tape, the world's highest quality hockey tape. Use the promo code HTH Podcast in all caps to save 10% on your order of long lasting hockey products from hockey tape and wax to laces and socks. That's HTH Podcast, all uppercase, to save 10% on your order of Howie's Hockey Tape. What's going on, all you beauts and beauties? Welcome to the Hat Trick Hockey Podcast, brought to you by GL Heritage, the official beer of HTH. I am your host, Brett Hedges, alongside the creator of the show, Ant Gaudette, and Tristan McGuire. Make sure you guys follow us on social media, on all of our social media platforms. Give us a subscription on YouTube and support our sponsors. Use our promo code HTH Podcast on biosteel.ca to get 20% off of your order. And of course, use our promo code HCH Podcast with Howie's stick tape as well. So glad to keep them on board as well. Gentlemen, how are you doing? We are in the middle of a crazy NHL Finals, and unfortunately, we've had a loss in the local hockey community. How are you guys doing, first of all?
Well, personally, I'm doing very well. Aside, obviously, from the sad news, which we'll talk about in a moment, but some good news is I get to have the next week off from work. I go up north with my dad and get to enjoy a Father's Day fishing trip. So
amazing. Where are you going?
Yeah, just south of Sudbury. It's a small town called Minettville. It's on the west arm of Lake Nipissing. Picturesque. End of June, going to be a great trip. Or middle of June.
Excellent. Yeah. What about you, Ant? How's the leg treating you? I saw you were recently on the bike doing some physio.
Yeah, physio's going week to week. We're just strengthening, trying to get me back on my feet here. Walking with a cane and stuff now a little bit. So we got rid of the crutches, so that's good. Hopefully the boot will be gone soon, but just pushing to get this healthy, and then we're gonna go to the shoulder, get that done, and then I'm gonna be human again. So can't wait.
All right, you better rock that pimp cane, Anthony.
Yeah.
Walk with it.
I just think about there's an episode from King of the Hill where there's a guy who pulls up with a pimp, and I just picture an ant like that. It's so funny.
Halloween movie.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had a loss in the local Essex County hockey community. Essex 73's legend Don Chittle passed away at the age of 65, unfortunately, in a sudden way. Tristan, do you want to have the floor and talk about some of the accomplishments that Don Chittle had during his time with the Essex 73s? He's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, well, certainly he's second in points, as you pointed out, or third in points. Obviously, you have Dave Anthony, Len Chittle, who would have been his first cousin, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they played alongside actually my uncle, Mark McGuire, which was one of the greatest lines in 73's history on that 1977 to 78 championship team. Obviously, shout out Jamie Crapper, who went on to have a great career in the BHL. But that whole team, Don was the leader of it. And just the person he was larger than life. And that's something that he carried with him on the ice and off the ice. And it's a very saddening loss for the 73's family. He's on the 73's Wall of Fame, and for good reason. Many accolades. He had a 6-goal game years ago versus Tilbury. And Leamington, actually, multiple just crazy multi-point excursions. As an Essex 73, went on to have a great career as well with Windsor. That's Windsor at the time, Junior B.
The Royal.
Then Junior, yeah. And thank you. Just a fantastic person and a fantastic player, and it's really sad to see him go. And he was not even all that old, which makes it all the more saddening. So,
yeah, our thoughts and condolences go to his family. Mm-hmm. And what do you have to say on top of that?
let me tell you, this guy early years to have a guy like this on your team to just shoot a new team just into the stratosphere with just how he played and the early years. Guys, I'm gonna give you guys some numbers on this guy, and his
Hmm.
numbers are incredible. In 75, 76, he played 40 games. He had 31 goals, 37 assists, 68 points, 125 PIMs, and he had 1.7 points per game. Next year, he comes around, stats are even better. He goes 36 games, 43 goals, 26 assists, 69 points, 134 PIMs, 1.92 goals or
Oh
sorry,
my gosh.
points per game. Next year he goes kaboom. Okay. He this man, 36 games, 62 goals, 68 assists, 130 points, 119 PIMs, a 3.61 points per game over his whole career as a 73, 2.38 points per game. This guy was a monster on the ice,
Yeah.
such a great man off the ice. We are thinking about all of his family, his friends, the whole 73 family. This is a big loss for us. And yeah, having a guy like that to fire up a franchise in the first few years was crucial. And like I said, he was just one of the ones that put the 73s way up into the stratosphere as soon as this thing started. So
Hmm.
we're thinking about his wife, Kim, his daughter, Amy, who
Yeah.
like follows our stuff too. So we're thinking about them as well. So uh,
And of course, his nephew, Tyson Chittle,
yeah,
former captain
Tyson,
of the Essex 73s.
exactly. So this Chittle family runs deep with the team. So we're thinking about all
Hmm.
them for sure.
Hmm.
Hmm. You can't think about you can't think about Essex without thinking about the Chittle family. I grew up and played against a bunch of different Chittles
Yeah.
in different sports throughout the years. So I'm sure that funeral visitation is going to be very, very busy.
Hmm.
I believe it's happening during the timing of this recording,
Yeah.
and our thoughts go out with him.
Yeah.
I just wanted to shed some light on the 77-78 team. There were four guys on that team that had over 100 points. And you talked about his stats, Ant. He had 62 goals that year and 68 assists. He didn't even have the most goals or assists on his team that year, and he had 130 points. So Brian Hill had 64 goals for that team that year, and a defenseman, Mike Riem, had 86 assists, and
That's
he had, I think it was 108 points. And then your uncle, Tristan, Mark, had 105 points.
Yeah.
And then Jamie Crapper, who you said had a great career in the British Hockey League, the BHL, he had 71 points, a lowly 71 points for a guy who went and set records and was a fantastic player in pro as well. So just talk about just the talent that was on
Oh
that
yeah.
team, like unreal.
Well,
Mhm.
Jamie Crapper, I think at the time he would have only been 16 or 17
There you go.
because years later he went on to play D1 with Ohio State. So that whole team was just stacked. My uncle Mark was only about 17 years old as well. That wasn't even close. That was his second year with the club. So
Mhm.
just you talk about how deep Windsor Essex was, and Essex and Maidstone, actually, the majority of those players were from.
Yeah.
Uh, just unbelievable. Like they worked the league for about 5 years straight there,
Yeah.
pretty badly too. Like Bell River wasn't even a consideration back then.
Yeah.
And I love how you were talking about
So
like Leamington and Tilbury and all that, like being teams back.
yeah.
And it just brings you back to the beginnings of the Great Lakes Junior Hockey League. Obviously, now we're in the Provincial Junior C Hockey League, and
Mhm.
it's gone through many
Mm-hmm.
different iterations. But you can't appreciate the present or anticipate the future without paying respects to the past. And those
Mhm.
guys laid the
Mm-hmm.
tracks for a very successful program that Essex has become, and for a great league that the Great Lakes Junior Hockey League and now the PJHL has become as well. So our thoughts and our condolences go to those guys, and just talent,
Mhm.
man, up and down that lineup, and just super. When I went and did a deep dive on those stats, I was just blown away
Yeah.
from
It's
what I saw.
insane.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And like you said, he was only 65 years old. It was a sudden passing, so our our thoughts are with that family during this difficult time. So thank you for everyone that shared all the well wishes. I think we made a post or we shared a post about him, his passing. I know that your dad did, Tristan. So thanks for everyone for spreading the love of Don Chittle, and he's someone that's gonna be remembered. His legacy is something that Essex 73's fans are going to remember for a very long time.
Mhm.
Mhm. Certainly.
Any other thoughts about the passing of Don Chittle?
No, just of course, yeah, that we're praying for the family, and we're here for them if they need anything.
Yep.
We're part of the community, and this loss affects everyone in some way or another. Some greater than others, but still, it's a loss, and it needs to be recognized.
Mhm.
For sure. Shall we pivot towards the NHL? We are less than a day after an insane comeback in
Oh,
game 4 between the Edmonton Oilers. They were down 3-0 after the first period to the Florida Panthers. And I'm sure a lot of people were saying, well, Edmonton's cooked. If they go down 3-1 to this team, they might as well
Yep.
just start going home now. That is not the case. I guess Corey Perry had a nice intermission speech to the boys after the first period, and they came back and won this game in overtime. But like, let's just go through your guys' reactions throughout the entire game. And you were watching this game, posting clips. What were your thoughts when you saw them go down 3-0 and when you started to see this comeback come to
well,
fruition?
right away, I was like, oh boy, because like this, when you go down 3-0, especially to the Florida Panthers, and for the record, teams that were up after the first period were like 37-0 going into last night as well. So Edmonton has
Mm-hmm.
now made that 37-1 stat guy Ant. And it's it was just I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my eyes. Once they got one, I'm like, okay, they're in it. And then it was 3-2, and I'm like, okay, because it was weird because Florida got three in the first, Edmonton got three in the second, and then they each got a goal in the third. And then it was 4-4 going into overtime. And Leon, who had been non-existent over the past probably what couple games or whatever, there was like
Yeah, he was
five
quiet.
periods where he hadn't even recorded a shot. Like nothing out of him. And then just all of a sudden, just fluke play in overtime where he like shoots with
Yep.
one hand and it hits someone's skate and goes in. But guess what, boys? Those are the kind of bounces that you need to win Stanley Cups. And
Yep.
they really tightened it up on D at first. I thought they were loosey goosey, couldn't get the puck out of our end, couldn't pass the puck to each other, couldn't string any passes together. Shots weren't going through. And then it was just like you guys said, everything just flipped. And I don't know if whatever Corey Perry said in the dressing room, but when a vet like that stands up in the room, I don't know if it was like Connor's speech, right up and now. Like, I don't know if it was like that, but it was whatever it did, it worked. And we're going back to Edmonton, tied it at 2 games apiece. And now think about it. All the momentum has now switched over to the Oilers because now
Yep.
this is a 2 out of 3 series, and 2 out of the 3 games are now in Edmonton. So if they go seven, game 7 is in Edmonton. And it's just, I don't know, flip a coin on who's like, I don't, whenever everybody asks me all the time, like, who do you think's going to win? I'm like, I genuinely, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
you just,
It's anyone's game.
like, think of all the records. Leon just set one last night, his fourth overtime goal in a playoff run. That sets a record. Sam Bennett has scored what, 12 or 13 goals on the road. That's a playoff record. There's just, are we entertained yet? Are we
Yeah.
entertained yet? Like, I don't know. What do you guys
I
think?
think so, eh?
What do you guys think?
Watching it, I thought I was very impressed by the fact that how well the Panthers the last 2 games had been on McDavid like flypaper, just shutting him right down. Like you said, that first line looked invisible, and now have the Oilers figured out the way to counteract the counteracting Panthers, right? How they push past. Sorry, we lost me for about a second there. But yeah, it's just those fluke plays now are starting to work out, like you said. Draisaitl getting that bounce in off Forsling's skate, that's pivotal. That's pivotal to the whole series. One bounce. Now it's a tie series instead of having Reinhart go bar down and it's 3-1 going back to Edmonton. They could win the cup. Completely different ball game now. You're playing at least 2 more games, right? And you got to think, okay, well, then it's going to come down. Can the Oilers win on the road? They're either facing elimination or the chance of a cup. They proved that they can do it on the road. They just did it. They came back from down 3-0 in PNC Arena.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's unreal.
So I think that game alone is a microcosm of this series that you just don't know what's going to happen, and expect the unexpected, because it is what it is. That's, you're sitting there like, okay, this is completely chaotic. There's no sense of order. It's desperation from both teams wanting that Stanley Cup, and I love it. That's what you want to see in a finals.
For sure. And Tristan, you talked about how it was a comeback on the road, and 2.5 days earlier they got whacked.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
They
and
got
it
spanked.
wasn't even close. And so the fact that and the fact that they came back from being down 3-0 at that point, they make the changing goal. Stuart Skinner wasn't playing bad, but you know what? They scored 3 goals on him. You got to go to someone else. Calvin Pickard, don't call me Picard. Pickard comes up and he comes in huge. They only scored. Florida only scored with 19 seconds left on them to force overtime, and then it was anyone's game in overtime. Like you said, that I think it was off the bar or it was off the post by Reinhart. Could have been a completely different series. And then a few minutes later, Draisaitl scores to make it a 5-4 win in overtime. So
let me ask you guys something. Who do you start in net next game?
Well, that's what Chris Knoblaw is getting paid big bucks to figure out, right?
I'll tell you right now, I'm not starting Skinner. I'm going right back to Why would you go back? Think about what that
because he's got a shutout in 2 of his last. So after losses in his last 2 games that he's lost, he had a shutout right after. So
yeah, but you don't think
outside of the series,
Picard has earned that fucking start though? After last game,
I don't know.
You don't give him.
I don't know.
A great question. That's what
I don't know.
That's what everyone's going to be asking.
To
right?
me, if he didn't go in net, would that game have really happened like that? Like that's the thing. That's the beauty of the playoffs.
I call up Olivier Rodrigue or something from Bakersfield. I don't know. Just I don't know. I don't trust either of those goalies. Pickard has been a backup his whole life, and minus 1 year, I think in Colorado he was the starter or something.
Yep.
And then Skinner is the most untrustable goaltender in the league, because his stats are literally, you're either getting a shutout or below an .825 save percentage. So it's, what do you want, right?
But the backup there hasn't lost in the playoffs yet this year.
7-0.
Oh, he has, hasn't he?
No, he's 7-0, dude. Or really? No, I don't know if he's 7-0. I don't know if he's played that many games, but I know he hasn't lost.
Yeah, he's 7-0 now.
So there you go. So
now he came in that LA series.
Yes, because remember he played like 5 or 6 games probably in a row where he won every single one, and then all of a sudden they went back to Skinner. So I don't know. And one thing too, when they were getting waxed in that game there, where they had that big brawl, like everybody, I took a little bit of flack online from our fans because I was saying, I'm like, why would you not, when the game starts getting out of hand, why would you not start roughing it up and inflict some pain on them, get them limping a little bit into the next game? I know it's kind of dirty pool, but it's just, I don't know. When I'm down in a game like that and I know that game's out of reach, why would you not inflict a little pain?
Talking about the line brawl.
Yeah, absolutely. Little team bonding. Why not? And it's yeah. And like I said, the game's out of hand already. So why would you not scrum it up? And, but that's just me. Maybe I'm just old school, but that's just me, boys.
I mean, the way that they were playing wasn't working. So I guess, take some skin into the next game. I'm not sure. But what are your thoughts, Tristan? Oh, I think we lost him.
Oh, he'll come back. But that's the thing, though. But, like, I would have done the same thing, man. I would have scrummed it up. I would have hands in the face, like couple fights. Like they said, Darnell Nurse did a unreal job in that scrap too, because who did he fight there?
Gadjevich.
Yeah,
And that
Jonah
and
Gadjevich.
I heard that guy was just looking for one the whole time, and he finally got somebody to go with him. But and that guy's like a fridge on skates. That guy
No,
is
he's a
huge.
Viking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy how tough that guy is. And Nurse did a good job. He held his own, a little bit bloody, but I don't know. I love it, guys. I love that stuff. It's the
So do I.
playoffs, baby. Let's go. It's the
Yeah,
playoffs. Why not? What do you
What are your
think, Brett?
thoughts on the rough stuff, Tristan?
I like it. Both teams have a lot of big bodies on it. Why not throw it around, right?
Hmm.
Like both teams are giant. They are the two largest teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they met in the finals. So
Hmm.
maybe does size matter?
Hmm.
These teams have been in the back-to-back finals, so maybe it does. I think
Yeah.
that's a testament. You get giant defensemen. Both teams have that, right? All that,
Hmm.
like you think about Edmonton's got Ekholm 6'4", Darnell Nurse 6'3", Evan Bouchard 6'1", and same thing. You go Florida Panthers, Ekblad 6'4". Their whole decor actually is over 6'3". They got Kulikov, who's a giant,
Yeah.
Forsling 6'2", 6'3". So it's just large defensemen throwing the body, and then up front, just the same. Both teams' bottom sixes are littered with guys who are huge. So I like it. Use the
Hmm.
body and have those role players.
I really enjoyed the fight between Nurse and Gadjevich. I love the fact that neither of them were gonna go down, and
Yeah.
at the end of it, it was just like, okay, we've thrown enough punches. I'm not gonna knock you down. You're not gonna knock me down. And they smiled at each other right
Yeah.
after. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's like the pinnacle of the sport. That's why fighting is in the game,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Now, obviously, I wasn't a big rough tough fighter when I played, but like when you see it at that level, it makes sense why you let the players police themselves in that kind of situation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're frustrated. You want to get the aggression out. Okay, let mono, let them go, and then we're good to go,
Yeah.
right? Go to the showers, hang it up, and we'll see you in a couple days.
It seemed like they fought for a week
100%.
and a half too. Like that was a long scrap, man. Like
It was.
if I fought that long, I'd be throwing up in the dressing room when I got into the dressing room. Like if it was that long of a fight. Like I had one, it was like a minute and I was gassed and almost I laid on the floor in the room for about 5 minutes when I got into the dressing room. Nurse fought for they said it was almost 2 minutes
Unreal.
that those two fought. So and by the way, too, quick stat. This is only the fifth time in Stanley Cup Finals history where three out of the first four games have won in the overtime too, by the way.
Wow.
So
Nice
buckle up,
stat, eh?
guys. Buckle up.
I'm trying to think of maybe some others.
Well, there's only four other series that have ever done it.
That's unreal.
Dallas and Tampa.
I think
I
you're
would
right.
I
I,
know
I would think
probably
that might be one of them. I remember that.
Montreal LA might be one too, right? They had a lot of overtime games. The Habs won a lot of games in
Yeah.
overtime in that
Well,
stretch
yeah,
too.
they were. Yeah. Well, that's how Patrick Roy came to be known as Doctor Overtime, right?
Yeah.
He didn't lose in overtime. The Habs never
Yeah.
lost in overtime that whole
Yeah, I
playoffs.
think
So
I think they won like wasn't it like 12 games in overtime or something over that
yeah,
run?
it
It was something
was.
wild. So
It
one
was
of them
insane.
had to have been that series, right? You would
It
think.
was. Yeah, there was
Okay.
there was like
Okay.
two against Quebec, and then there was like three against. Or no, there was three against Quebec, and then yeah, like 4 or 5 in that final series. So
Yeah. Wild stuff, man.
yeah,
Well, we know that at least one of them was in game two against LA because Kerry Fraser told us
yeah.
all about it
Yeah.
last week during the show.
Yeah.
So, and that was absolutely an unreal interview. We didn't talk about that at the top of the show, but that was absolutely unreal to get his kind of
Oh,
perspective on so many key points in hockey history.
Yeah.
Um, where do we go now? We've got 3 games left, 2 out of 3. Got games 5, 6, 7. I'll ask, do you think it goes 6 or 7?
Oh, we're going seven. We're going the distance.
What say you, Tristan McGuire?
yeah. These teams are too
We're going.
unpredictable and too cagey and too similar that yeah, it looks to be the same as last year.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this though: you're going into a game 7. I don't care where it is. heavy advantage for the Florida Panthers. Heavy advantage.
Okay.
Mentally, they just beat them last year after going up 3-0, blowing that, and they won the game 7 like it was nothing.
Yeah.
So Paul Maurice knows how to win. I think it goes 7, but I think the Oilers have their work cut out for them.
Man.
I think that the Oilers are going to show up in game 5, win that, and then game 6 is going to go to overtime. That's what and I think it's gonna be down to something crazy like that. So
Connor McDavid.
Either
I
McDavid
mean, there's no better way to seal your legacy than scoring an overtime goal for the Stanley Cup.
And it would be gross. It wouldn't be a little tap in. It would be Connor McDavid puts the team on his back. I hope that happens now. I hope that happens. I like that storyline.
To me, I think they're both gonna win their next home games, and in game 7, we're gonna flip a coin.
That coin is tilted for the Panthers, though. I'm telling you. I don't know.
I agree with your point, Tristan, that if it goes 7, I don't think Edmonton will have the juice.
They just have to. The first goal is huge. Like, I know it sounds kind of like, cliche or whatever about it, but especially game 7 on home ice, if you can get that place rocking early and you can pop one early and stay on them, hit them, keep the puck, make sure you're out of your end. Because I've seen a couple turnovers yesterday that, woo! I think Wallman had one that allowed somebody in on a breakaway. So, we can't be doing that to the Florida Panthers because they will bury you, and it doesn't take long.
I don't care how much of a pro you are either. Doubt is going to creep in, like you said, that with that first goal. If you're Edmonton and you get scored on first, look at what happened last year. They're going to be done. Like, McDavid would have to carry the team. I don't see this team being strong enough of a unit or deep enough of a unit that someone else could be the game changer out of McDavid and Draisaitl. And if they continue to get these games where they get shut down completely, it's going to be a rough go for the Oilers. And that figuring out the goalie. You got 3 games and you still don't know who your starter is.
Yeah. I know. I have a feeling.
And they're playing against the best goalie in the world, probably, in Sergei Bobrovsky, or one of them.
Yeah. Well, he won the Stanley Cup last year for hello. But he took a mediocre Columbus Blue Jackets team and made them one of the best teams in the league. So, yeah, we'll see.
This is where they really got to rely on secondary scoring, where they need to. It all can't be on Connor and Leon to win this cup. It has to be on everybody. They need guys like Corey freaking Perry, chipping in. He's had a great playoff run for how old he is. He's 40 now, and
I think so.
They need guys like Evander Kane, and just on the guys on the back of this Bouchard guy takes 40 shots a game normally, and then when I need him to last night, he falls too short. Thanks, buddy. But other than that, I don't know. Like you said, and net is when it's a question mark when we have 3 games left could be a little bit of an issue. I agree on that, but I don't know, guys. That's the thing about the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that's the beautiful thing about the Stanley Cup playoffs is you just never know. This is where legends are born, boys.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, some guys are going to get some pay raises over the summer after these playoffs. I'll tell you that, big time.
The more you say it, Ant, about this, it just can't be Connor and Leon and all this. The more I'm just solidifying the fact I think Florida's going to go back to back because I think about how deep that team is.
Yeah,
and guys who haven't even done that much, If a guy like Carter Verhaeghe wakes up and becomes the player he was in last year's playoffs in these last 3 games, it's over, Sally. I don't see the Oilers being able to shut that down. Sam Bennett has been shot like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think this, and they got the Selke winner in Alex Barkov. So who else better to shut down McDavid with this physical play?
Sometimes this is when the Giants fall, though, buddy.
This is a legacy. This is a legacy defining series for both sides. Yeah. If it's Edmonton that wins, Connor McDavid finally gets the cup. He brings the cup back to Canada. Obviously, Alberta doesn't want to be part of Canada, but we'll keep that part. But seriously though, last year everybody in the country was riding on them to win in Game 7. They came back from down 3-0. We thought that the reverse sweep was going to happen. They fell short in Game 7.
I was
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on. I was just going to say I was one of the few Canadians who wanted Florida to win because Aaron Ekblad's from Belle River, so I was like,
and I love Paul Maurice.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I even went back and looked at our episodes from last year with the Stanley Cup Finals because I couldn't remember who I picked, and I picked Florida in 7 before the series started.
Ooh.
So, like I said, I think Edmonton's going to win Game 5, and it's going to go to overtime in Game 6. And if they score the OT winner, then they're going to be this cup champs. But if they lose Game 6 in this hypothetical situation, they're going to go back to Edmonton, tails between their legs a little bit, and I think Florida's going to take over because they're just a little bit of a well-oiled machine. The top end talent has to overcome the 4-line depth that Florida has and that's going to be, and they're super, and Florida's deep in that. They've got Bobrovsky, and there's a big question mark in Edmonton. And the fact that we're 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup, and there's still a question mark in goalie in Edmonton is a humongous factor going into the last 3 games.
The only thing that sits in the back of my head is I don't know if I see Connor and Leon losing twice in Game 7. Like I can just see Connor that when he gets that look in his eye, and it's just he starts doing ridiculous stuff on the ice, and that's the thing that makes me think I just don't think he wants to go through that again, man. And that's the only thing that kind of makes me like, can Edmonton do this? Is just those two alone. Like, once again, I'm gonna say I don't know, guys. Like it's just too hard to tell. All we can do is watch, and time will tell. That's all we can do at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Crispy.
Do either of you have any final thoughts on the Stanley Cup Finals? Because I know you guys have somewhere to be.
Well, no. Well, can we talk about what's kind of a couple things. The trade Chris Kreider to Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely going to help them out big time.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, guys. I think Marner's going to Anaheim.
What?
I do. And I think they're going to give him more than 14.
I'm saying Chicago.
I think why would you go? Like, I get it. Okay. I get it. Chicago's a good hockey town too. You're playing with Bedsy and everything, rocking the Madhouse. I get it. Okay. But think about California. And a young team that's going to be on the upswing. Kreider's a nice piece now. You add a guy like Marner in, you still got Troy Terry, you still got Zegras. Like, they're starting to get some nice pieces there, man. And it's Cali, baby. Come on. Or and they're going to have the money to give him like whatever the hell he wants.
That's true. So. That's true. Or I could, some people said Utah as well, which I could totally see, because then you become kind of the co-face of the franchise there alongside Clayton Keller.
How sick are those Dylan Gunther too?
I think if he goes there, Gunther becomes a 40 to 50 goal scorer. That kid is one of the best shots in the league. Just the same as if you were to go to Chicago for Bedard. There's a lot of places here where the money value is going to be worth a lot for the team getting him. Some people have said Detroit. I don't think Steve Yzerman would want it. I don't think Mitch Marner would want it. I don't see the fit personally. I do see the fit. Now, another name that has come up is Aaron Ekblad. Yeah. If he ever hits free agency for Detroit, that I 100% am on board on. But
I could see him coming here if he's in free agency, close to home, be close to home and stuff. He's he's won his cup, possibly 2. Like, why not come here and be on a team that's could be hopefully on the upswing? I know we just signed a 38th goalie, but
Ant wants to send all those goalies and Steve Yzerman into the moon.
Maybe
if
if we just sign every goalie that's out there, that teams will have to trade us for goalies.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, look at what Vancouver did. They got like a really high pick
Hmm.
in return for Markstrom from Calgary. So
Yeah. Who
Knows?
was the one guy I wanted to ask you guys about in free agency? It wasn't Marner. There was another big one out there. Who
Well,
was it?
everyone seems to think that Sam Bennett's going to go to Toronto.
Okay. Yeah. I don't.
I don't see it. I don't think you're going to be able to pry Sam Bennett away from Florida. I think he'll take a good deal there.
Yeah. I mean, with the cap going up too, you can kind of, if you want to, you could be more cash on the back end of a deal if you wanted to take a little bit of a longer deal with the cap going up and start low and kind of go to high. I've seen deals do that, right?
but
As they kind of work into the what's up, Tris?
no, I just wanted to say something, annotate that point before you go any further. Salary cap goes based on average annual value. It doesn't go by what that guy's getting paid that year.
No, no, no. I get that, but I mean, some guys, let's say they have like they make $50 million over their whole freaking thing, right? Their deal. Some of them
Yeah,
they start making like 4 or 5 million a year, and then on the back half of it, they're making like eight because
but
their salary will increase with the cap.
yeah, but even still, it's still counting the same towards the cap each year.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying now. I
Yeah,
get it.
that's
Yeah,
like it's a misconception to say. Like I'm just saying like that
because
is
you
just
have to have a
personally for the
AAV,
team.
is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just the
Yeah,
team being able to pay more, but
yeah.
the actual value against their salary cap, it's going to count the same. They'll take the average.
Okay,
Okay, that makes sense.
that's actually a good point. I
Yeah,
was gonna say, do you
That
think
change
teams
that
actually
changes
do
things a
that?
lot.
yeah, because otherwise every team would be like, oh, we got no salary cap this year. Okay, you're
We're
making
gonna pay
zero
you
this year, but
minimum.
next year you're making 10. Like
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess that stops everything. I thought I've seen like, or maybe that's how they used to do it.
they did that. Well, that was when like the early days of salary cap came into play after the first lockout there. Um,
Okay.
and before, obviously, there was no.
Because I
You
knew I
just
had
make whatever you
seen
want, but
I knew I had seen something like that. I just don't know if it was recent. I'm like, wow, that's kind of smart actually when you come. But now I guess with now that every player has to have an AAV, it kind of caps that from happening, right? Like you can't really do that. So, all right, fair enough. Dash
Mhm.
friggin' one,
yeah.
eh? Dash one.
No, you're good. It's. I believe me. I thought the same way because I was like, oh, perfect, we got this, and like I think Tyler Seguin is actually like I think it was last year he was the highest paid guy in the NHL.
Hmm.
He
On
made like
a
14 million or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he
I
made like a lot of money. They loaded, but that's again that's them backloading. It had nothing to do with the cap because then Dallas would have been whatever
Hmm.
10 million over the cap. But no, it's just the
I've
annual value and it comes down to bonuses, sponsorships, whatever. There's a bunch of politics behind it.
I've just
Yeah,
seen
there's a bunch of
too.
like incentives as well, right? You play this many games, you get this many goals, this many points, you get this
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I've just seen too that it is official that somebody said that Mitch Marner's time is officially over in Toronto. That he will be signing somewhere else July 1st.
Mhm.
So Mitch Marner's time is done officially in Toronto. He's out.
You know what's another team that I could see him going to? That's just kind of like my hot take.
The Wings.
No, New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If they manipulate some cap, that's a perfect team to go to. I think you got a lot of young stars there, like Dawson Mercer. That probably wasn't the first name you thought would come out of my mouth. Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt. On the back end, you've got Luke Hughes, maybe Quinn Hughes after a
Okay.
year from now. I could see them setting up to be a bit of a monster in the East like they were in the late 90s and early 2000s. So we'll see.
I love that. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
The
All
only
those
the
Hughes.
only name that I heard that was the only other team that I heard that was rumored to be in on Marner was Pittsburgh, but I don't know if that fits. Doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know the math and everything like that. So, uh,
Maybe, but I don't know. Once Crosby retires, they're gonna have like not too much left there.
that's what I mean. The cupboard been bare. So,
Yeah. And they've got like what you got Brian Rust for another million years. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what their plan is, but
mhm.
I don't know, boys.
Yeah.
yeah.
Before we go, the one last thing that I read, one other person will not be coming back to Toronto after next year, and that's their radio play-by-play guy, Joe Bowen, who's actually a University of Windsor graduate.
Mhm.
Um,
No way.
Yeah, he went to University of Windsor, and he was on a radio interview years ago. He's like, "What did you like? What was your favorite class?" He's like, "I don't know, Dominion House 101,
Yeah.
which is the bar in the West End, which is co-owned by a friend of mine, which I thought was hilarious."
Hmm.
So Joe Bowen, after 44 years of calling NHL games for the Toronto Maple Leafs, he's gonna hang it up after next year.
Mm.
And I just thought I'd share that news as well
Yeah.
before we go.
One question on Joe is when Bob Cole and Harry Neal were done with Hockey Night in Canada, how is a guy like Joe Bowen still on the radio and not calling Leaf games on Hockey Night in Canada? That's what I want to know. Honest question.
Yeah, that'd be a great thing to ask him.
Politics.
Oh,
That's
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
you're probably right. You're probably right. But I'm just saying, ML,
Yeah.
SE, you guys, Hockey Night in Canada, CBC, whatever, Sportsnet, you guys dropped the ball on that one because that man needs to be on TV calling Leaf games. I don't care if
yeah,
it's TSN that they're on sometimes, Sportsnet, whatever. That man needed to be calling Leaf games. If he's not on the radio, he needs to be on TV. For his last year, give him a 1 year. Maybe he'll like it and stay. Like, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
but I have a feeling Joe said this year's. I think I read a thing that said he was going to cross 3,800 games called this year in total. So what a fantastic career by this guy, and holy Mackinac, shall we say? But
Holy Mackinac.
yeah, I'll be honest, he's one of my favorites, man. He's one of my favorite announcers. That's why I really wanted to see him because every Saturday growing up as a kid, it was Bob Cole and Harry Neal on Hockey Night
Yep.
in Canada, the Leafs game. Joe Bowen would have been perfect to go in after those guys. I mean, perfect. I've been saying it
hmm
for years. Like, how is that guy not on Hockey Night in Canada? But Tristan, you probably hit it right on the head, buddy. Let's face it.
yeah. There's
It
probably some
sucks.
back some corporation meddling in
So
there as
There,
I'll be
there's reasons why. Yeah. Unfortunately, the world doesn't operate as simple as you do good or better than someone else, you move up in the food chain. Uh, as the saying goes, it's the dog eat dog world, and in this case, it's the dog with the bigger pockets that tends to
yeah.
move up and down. So, yeah,
MLSE, you dropped the ball.
yeah.
yeah,
That's his opinion, and he's sticking to it.
yeah. Fair enough.
Guys, my son's about to run down here if I don't go up and play mini sticks in a few minutes.
All
So,
Let's
right.
go.
is there anything else you guys need to add?
No, that's it, brother.
I'm good.
Perfect. I love the great show, guys. Fantastic stuff. From all of us here at HTH, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you use our promo code HTH Podcast on biosteel.ca to get 20% off your order. Use it on Howie's stick tape as well for 10% off your order as well. And thank you to all of our other sponsors as well. Follow us on social media and, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Anything else, boys?
That's all.
All right. For Anthony and Tristan, I am Brett Hedges saying so long and good night. We'll see you next time on Hat Trick Hockey. Good night.
I've lost my fight with time. My numbers up and up the line. I gaze at this darkness, so empty. Just looking for the light. Shout for help, but no one's there. Need a guiding hand, someone who cares. All alone in the darkness, I've realized for the first time I am scared. If I could do it all again, if I had one more chance, my friend, I would rewrite all my wrongs. I would find where I belong. I got lost